Hello, Algorators. I'm Al Reynolds, and this is the Court of Public Opinion. I'll be serving as the judge, and you, the viewers, will be the jury. Thank you so much for having patience with us today. One of our legal beagles had a little bit of a fender bender, and we're going to talk about it. So that's why we were having technical difficulties in getting the show to you on time, but she is okay, and we're very excited to have her back. As you know, the Court of Public Opinion is the place where you, the people's voice, can and will be heard. Be sure to hit that like button. If you have not subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you have subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. Turn on your notifications because some good stuff is happening here on the Court of Public Opinion that we're going to share with you tonight. And also get in those comments because we need to hear from you. All right, let me introduce our two legal beagles. First up, we have civil attorney, that fire emoji, attorney Shatan Turner. Welcome back, Shatan.
Glad to be back. Hi, Al. Hi, Algorators.
How you doing, Shatan? And luckily, fresh off of a fender bender, we have that red wine emoji, the one, the only. What do we call her? The entertainment attorney. No, she's not an entertainment attorney. She's a civil attorney.
Correct.
Civil
Yeah.
attorney, Simone Redwine.
Thank you. Car accidents, auto injuries.
How is it that you are a specialist in the incident that you got into tonight?
Don't you question God's ministry. I am a member of the one that helps others, and I am a member of those in need. Okay? So I had a little fender bender, y'all, on my way here. That's why we are a bit delayed. So, to people in the chat who are like, they're late. Yeah. We are late. And my neck and my back and I have a plethora of issues, okay? In the words of Kaya. But we're here now. We're here now.
So, Attorney Redwine, we can't hear you too good, so I want you to take some time to correct your sound while we get ready to cover the topics. All right, everyone. Court is now in session. All right, first up, Terrell Davis, you are found yourself in the Court of Public Opinion, or should we say United Airlines, you have found yourself in the Court of Public Opinion. According to the news report, Terrell Davis was met by FBI agents who detained him and put him in handcuffs for a security breach on the flight he was on coming back to Dallas. Yes, you heard me, coming back to Dallas, Texas. All right, my legal beagles, we can start with you, Shatan. Tell me what is going on and why was he put in handcuffs?
So this matter is an example of to whom much is given, much is required, and to whom much is given is power to the flight attendants. And so allegedly what occurred is Terrell Davis was traveling with his child who wanted to get some ice. I guess the kid was thirsty, or maybe the kid wanted to crunch ice like a lot of kids do. Who knows why the kid wanted ice? But Terrell asked for the ice, or the kid asked for the ice, and the flight attendant didn't hear the child. So like any father would do, Terrell tried to get the flight attendant's attention and touched their arm. Now, I'm not sure if the flight attendant was on some medication. I don't know whether the flight attendant is afraid of large men. I don't know if the flight attendant doesn't like black men. I don't know. All I know is the flight attendant acted as if they had been assaulted by Terrell Davis, that there had been a battery committed against them, and they, said, "Stop hitting me." And Terrell thought it was odd, but went about, the flight, and by all accounts did not create a ruckus. Well, much to his surprise and chagrin, he was met by FBI agents who put him in cuffs upon landing, only for them to do an investigation and find out that the flight attendant had misrepresented the facts.
Okay. Attorney Redwine, you're pouring a cocktail of some sort. We can hear you.
Cheers.
I'm pouring water. It's water. It's water,
Okay.
but yes.
I understand.
Got
Okay,
it.
so tell me here. Okay, so he's being detained and handcuffed in front of hundreds of people on a flight. Is this legal, Attorney Redwine?
No, Here's what I think happened. I think this little flight attendant, because we all know flight attendants are poor people. Okay, flight attendants only get paid for the time that they're actually in the air. And times today are tough. They are tough and they are hard. I think that flight attendant probably knew who he was and read one too many of these Diddy lawsuits, because Diddy got about 50-11 at this point, and thought, oh, I have a Hall of Famer who has touched me. Let me make this into a thing, even though it's not a thing. And he overreacted. Now, luckily for this Hall of Famer, there were other honest, good people that were on the flight who said this didn't happen. So now that man needs to go, and this airline needs to make it right.
Okay, and how does that happen, Attorney Shatan and Attorney Redwine? What are his legal ramifications for that humiliation, that stress, that mental distress? What type of lawsuit can he file? And the reason why I ask is I can imagine that a lot of our viewers or algoriters have probably experienced something similar to this, where they were wrongfully accused, wrongfully detained, only to find out later that they were innocent. Are there legal, not legal ramifications, but are there legal remedies for people who find themselves in these situations?
There are. So the first one is the one you alluded to, which is arguing that this was intentional infliction of emotional distress on behalf of the airline, right? So the reason you go up to the airline is for the reason that Attorney Redwine mentioned. This individual flight attendant is likely judgment proof, and the potential damages that Mr. Davis would want, that a flight attendant can't pay it. So what you would allege is that the flight attendant was an agent of the airline, and as the agent of the airline, they were acting in the shoes of the airline, and therefore the actions of the flight attendant were the actions of the airline itself. So you would go after the airline for putting you in a false light. You'd go after the airline for all the potential torts that ensue when your reputation is damaged. And as a result, you have been harmed. I mean, he's a public figure. People probably had their phones, were taking pictures, right? And so now those images can be uploaded and they're not even connected to this story, right? It's just Terrell Davis, criminal. And so if I were him, or if I were a lawyer who was trying to pay my light bill, I would offer my services to him, and we would have fun serving United Airlines.
All right, Attorney Redwine, any additional thoughts on this particular case?
Nope, I think Attorney Shatan has a down pat.
All right, so let's keep it moving. Southwest Airline, you have ended up in the court of public opinion. And listen, how many times are these airlines going to discriminate against us? Peppa from the legendary hip-hop group Salt and Peppa is alleging that she was put off a flight even though she paid for 2 tickets. Now, the understanding here is that Peppa purchased 2 tickets. She had 1 ticket because she has have an injury to her leg. So she purchased 2 tickets so that she could put her leg up without being disturbed. However, allegedly, the flight was oversold and the airline gave up one of her seats to an individual who needed a seat on the flight. When she said that she purchased 2 tickets, they escorted her off the plane. Attorney Shatan Turner, is this legal?
So she has claims against them. What they alleged was that she was kicked off the plane for failing to follow crew members' instructions. The rules surrounding failing to follow crew members' instructions are pretty rigid for the safety reasons. And so that's why they were able to take her off the plane when they did without really much explanation. And for her, what she's going to, and they actually reimbursed her for the tickets. So they're going to argue that they made her whole. However, she would also, like Mr. Davis, argue that the remedy wasn't the tickets. The remedy was getting her where she needed to be when she needed to be there. And because they were attempting to give her seat to a man who said initially he was going to a funeral, and then that story got a little bit wishy-washy. The question becomes, why was his green money worth more than hers?
Ooh,
Bought
good,
the seat.
good point, Attorney Shatan Turner. All right, Attorney Simone, if you were Peppa's attorney, what would you be arguing on her behalf?
On her behalf, I would be arguing that this was a discriminatory act, right? Just as Attorney Shatan said, her money should be as good as anybody else's money. And I believe that they took it upon themselves to decide that, oh, she simply bought an extra ticket for her comfort, and that her comfort was less important than his ability to get to wherever it was that he needed to be. But that's not how these extra tickets work. Now, I find it interesting that this is the second Dallas flight case, right, that we've had in a row. But as well, it's something to be said that that Southwest Airlines specifically says, if you want the convenience that she's requested, right, which is to have nobody next to you, buy an extra ticket. They get to decide that, oh, our flight is oversold, so the person who bought a ticket for her comfort is the one that should be inconvenienced. Instead, and this is where I believe her attorney is going to have strong grounds, what they're supposed to do is go by the order in which people
It was
checked
purchased
into the flight.
That's right. That's correct.
And not just purchased, but checked into the flight.
I'm sorry. That's
Therefore,
correct.
yeah, no, it's okay. Therefore, if this was someone who last minute, blah, 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 and that wasn't the case, we know it wasn't the case here because she was already sitting in the seat and had her leg on the chair, which means he must have walked up to the gate to check into the flight after her. So we have a big problem here. They owe her money for her inconvenience. They owe her a refund. And this is one of those things where if I were her attorney, I would also try and negotiate for something like a companion pass for the year to make her whole.
Absolutely. I want to know, though, Legal Beagles, what is this sentiment that we are seeing story after story of African Americans? Remember, we saw that group of American Airlines put off almost 10, I know 5, maybe 5 or more African American males off of one of their airlines. Why are these airlines feeling like they have the ability and the right to put or do this to their African American passengers?
Oh, that was the one where they said they were smelly, right?
Smelly, right.
So they kicked them off. I mean, it definitely is a trend of people of color having their rights violated by airlines in the recently. And so I don't know enough about the individual cases to say that there's some sort of nexus between the individuals involved. It does suggest that somebody should investigate whether or not systemic racism is at play. Right. That, Al, you and I went to University of Virginia. And they had the single sanction of the honor system, which is on the face of it fair. But when you went to dig into how the honor system was implemented, African American people were brought up at a higher rate than white students, but the guilty rates were not higher. So sometimes people who are not members of underrepresented groups have less pause in asserting quote unquote rights or the rules against people of color because they don't feel as badly when something bad happens to the people of color. And that's what they need to look into.
That, hearing you say that really frustrates me because all I can imagine, because I'm doing corporate strategy full time. And what I hear when I go into a lot of these C-suites is that they have a lot of issues with a particular race. And so they become sensitive to it. And then what happens is when you don't do sensitivity training, you have people that overreact to what will be cases, right? And so what they end up being is like systemically, it ends up growing within the culture of the organization or the company that, oh, you can be harder on Black people. They take more. You can put them off the plane. You can accuse them of being aggressive, and you can have the FBI come to arrest them or detain them because it's okay. I always say when I sit in those C-suites, like, what if you had the FBI, and I'm not racist, okay? I'm just sharing an analogy. What if it was a Jewish woman What if it was a non-black person? Would you have exercised the same aggressiveness in your power if the person was not of color? Those are the type of questions that I bring up in the boardrooms that I sit in. And the question is, and I don't say Jewish one, what I say is, what if it was one of you all's grandmothers? That's saying Jewish mothers. And the answer always is, oh, oh, oh. All right, enough of this. We're going to get to the bottom of this, and we're going to keep our eyes and ears to see how Terrell Davis and Peppa handled this discriminatory actions, in my opinion, because I don't like how this looks. All right, moving along. Speaking of in the court of public opinion, Alex Baldwin, you're back into the court of public opinion. But in this case, your involuntary manslaughter case is dismissed. So funny, Attorney Redwine. This reminds me of when OJ was acquitted. So does this mean that the family has no remedy to obviously someone shooting and killing their loved one?
Well, Judge, it's a little bit different. One of the ways it's different is because I believe Alec Baldwin is innocent. But that's another story. So
But he killed the lady. The lady's
he
dead.
sure did.
He shot her.
She's gone. He
Okay,
did.
so how is he innocent?
He's innocent because what he's charged with was involuntary manslaughter. He was charged with basically negligently causing her killing. More specifically, he was charged with being responsible for checking the gun prior to using it and to ensure that the gun did not have real bullets versus blanks. This man has been on buku 11 movie sets in his lifetime. And throughout his lifetime, if you were to ask him, actually, they did ask him in depositions, how many sets have you been on that have used real bullets? The answer is none of them. Okay. And so as a result, in order for you to find someone to be negligent, you have to believe that in prior instances, they were they used real bullets, and that therefore it was anticipatory or foreseeable that they should have checked. That wasn't the case here. Not only was it not the case, there was a person on set whose responsibility was solely to ensure there were not real bullets and then to hand him the weapon. So that's what we're dealing with here. Now, your big question, and the question for the family of the victim is, but do they have any relief? The answer is yes. Their relief, and I believe that they've actually already received it, their relief is from the insurance company of the movie, the production company, the movie set. So what they are entitled to is 100%. If I were their lawyers, I would get them 100% of whatever the insurance policy is of the insurance on that set. And it's probably about 10 million. Here's how I know they have that. Because of the fact that you have to be able to have guns on the set. And more than that, the insurance policy requires the armory, which was the person who was actually found guilty. They do that for the reason of diminishing their liability. Now, that insurance company may say, well, we don't want to pay out all of it because the armory did not do their job. That's a different story. Okay. But in the end, Alec himself, because the case was dismissed against him, what that simply means is that pursuant to criminal law standards, and civil is different, so he could still be found guilty under civil, but under the criminal, which is beyond a reasonable doubt, he's clear.
Okay, so I'm going to shift this over to the civil attorney here, because obviously the criminal, he's been completely relieved of all wrongdoing. Shatan Turner, please help me here, because I hear something that I don't like. He is not only an actor in this particular movie, but he is also the producer, executive producer, if not director. Does that hold him to a different standard as it relates to the civil suit that the family could possibly bring against him?
So that is the argument that they tried to make in the criminal case, and it got complicated and confusing. And so I don't know that they're going to go for that same argument in the civil case. And so The reason is because, as Attorney Redwine was indicating, their responsibilities that they expected him to have and a duty they intended for him to execute as the producer. And then they also tried to apply that same responsibility to him as the actor, who was the one that pulled the trigger. And it just got to be too complicated for people to understand. The other thing that's a mitigating factor for Mr. Baldwin in the criminal case, which also may be beneficial in the civil case, is that there was this late found evidence that the prosecutor did not share with the defense. So in truth, the reason that he ultimately had the charges dismissed, and they were dismissed with prejudice so they can't come back, is because the judge got angry that the prosecution withheld the evidence and said that it prejudiced or disadvantaged Mr. Baldwin's defense, and they couldn't properly prepare for the case. And as a result, the case was dismissed. That evidence, might be beneficial in the civil case. Yeah, because in the civil case, right, you're looking for duty, breach, causation, and damages. Did he breach his duty in the execution of him pulling the triggers in the actor? And if this late found evidence can show that, hey, it wasn't him who breached the duty, but it was these other folks, then it becomes a question of what can they get from him? And then, as Attorney Redwine indicated, what can they get from the production company?
Let me tell you something. I don't know if you all feel the same way, but I love watching these two incredibly smart Black female lawyers break down this stuff for us. It just makes me so happy to create this forum to teach us the law. You guys killed it. All right, everybody, throw some fire emojis in that chat for that fiery Esquire Shatan Turner. And don't forget to throw those red wine emojis in the chat for Simone for breaking that down for us and giving us a clear understanding, a clear understanding of all the legal proceedings regarding that, because I was very perplexed. All right, we're going to move on along. Hello, the gang. You are back in the court of public opinion, and once again, it's for something that is not positive. All right, so Priscilla Rainey, all right, who has won 2 lawsuits against the games, dated back almost 10 years ago, who's also won the right to seize his publishing and his record label, is still trying to get the $7 million that she was awarded for sexual assault. Now, she's going after his $7 million home, and for some unknown reason, the deed has been transferred to WAC 100. Attorney Simone Redwine, can you tell us why this woman cannot get the money that she is owed from this man who clearly is able and willing to pay her, able to pay her the money that he owes her?
This woman is unable to get what she's due because WAC 100 and the game have contrived together, worked together to create what's called an illegal transfer, okay? An illegal transfer. And guess what? Not only is she going to get her $7 million, but she's about to get some millions, some money, some coins from WAC 100. See, this man has allegedly gone straight, but he still stays in these criminal streets. He's just a corporate scammer. That's all he is, a corporate scammer. So what an illegal transfer is when specifically...
A corporate scammer, allegedly.
Allegedly. So what an illegal transfer is under the law is when you know you owe some money, you owe a debt to one entity, but you transfer funds or assets that could be used to satisfy that debt to someone else in order to avoid using that asset to satisfy your debt. Now, I'll bet you anything. So here's what I want. Okay, I want you guys to keep tabs on this one. We're going to keep up with this one, y'all. And I want you to keep tabs of this little legal tea. Here's the deal. I bet you anything. He transferred this property, right, to WAC 100. Here's what's supposed to happen. If you transfer something of value to the other person, WAC 100 is supposed to pay taxes on that. This is a $1 million property. I'm going to tell you what WAC 100... The debt, it's my understanding, the debt is worth $7 million.
Debt is $7 million, but the house is how much?
At least $1 million. I'm not sure the dollar amount, but at least $1 million. But I'm going to tell you what WAC 100 hasn't done: paid taxes on that property to the IRS for the transfer, right? Because if
Ooh.
you're giving something to someone else of
Yeah, that's
value
right.
like that, it's not just property tax. See what? He's not as smart as us. He's not, because he wouldn't keep doing these criminal acts in public. And he's not as smart as he thinks he is, because a lot of times people like himself think, oh, I'll just pay the property taxes. Yes, you do have to pay the property taxes, but when you're given a transfer for less than the value, so let's say he's given this property for 100K, right? He's just got to give the game 100K, because really he's just holding it for the game.
Right.
With the expectation that once this whole little situation is over, he's supposed to give it back, but he gives it to him for 100. But if the property is worth $2 million, he is supposed to pay taxes on $900,000 as though he got it in cash as a paycheck. He's not going to do that.
Wow.
So now, yes. So now, if I am the attorney representing the plaintiff, I'm like, oh, y'all want to play with me? I'm about to beat the brakes off of you. I'm about to get my client their $7 million, and I'm about to drop a dime with the IRS. Here's why. Many people forget with the IRS, if you call and you inform the IRS of tax fraud, which is what this is, wire fraud, whether it's the IRS or the feds, you are entitled to 30% of whatever they collect.
What?
30%. Whether it's you
What?
work on the job and you know it from your job, yes, 30% of whatever you collect, and it will cover your attorney's fees. So this Miss Priscilla, if you're watching our show, and Miss Priscilla, if you're smart, you're gonna watch our show, because our show is wonderful.
Right.
Then, yes, you and your attorney are not only going to tell the court, but you're going to drop a dime with the government, with the IRS, and with the feds. They are then going to find the fraudulent transfer that this is, and between the two of them, they're going to get and recover some millions. I know that this property is worth at least $1 million, and there's no way WAC 100 transferred $1 million to this man for the
and paid
the property taxes,
which would be in the money range that he makes, has to be at least 40%. Because WAC 100 makes a lot of money. All right, Attorney Chaton, you are the civil attorney here. This was from a criminal case. Can she go after him because she's not getting anything from him from the criminal case? Can she also file a civil suit against the game?
She has a lot of options. She could go and have him found in contempt, right? Because he's not paid the judgment. She's probably not going that route, because what she really wants is the money, and she doesn't really care about his liberty. But at some point her interest may change. It's been a long time. I mean, this is a 2015 case, and so she's still going slowly trying to get her money, but her lawyers probably indicated, hey, you won, he's got money, let's just methodically do these things to go after it and get you what you're entitled to. And so I imagine that's why she's following that route.
I am just baffled that someone can win a case of $7 million back in 2015-16, and for the course of 8 years not see one penny. He has not paid one dime. She needs legal help. I promise you, because I feel like if you had the right legal advice, you would not be standing on the sideline for 8 years, not getting anything, not inconveniencing his life in any way, not putting some type of garnishment somewhere. Come on, Priscilla, you might need to call the court of public opinion. You need to come on our show and let our legal beagles right here help you out. Okay, talking about legal beagles, this next story really hurts my heart. Burger King manager, Mama, from Mississippi, Mississippi, Miss Dixon, who hired her son and his 3 friends, are now all out of a job. Burger King says that Miss Dixon did not follow Burger King policy and paid the younger kids, the minors, more than they deserved. Therefore, because she was in violation, all 5 of them have been released of their duties at Burger King. Attorney Redwine, what in the Sam hell is going on in the state of Mississippi and with Burger King?
So this case really disappointed me and made me sad, because it's one thing to claim that the boss was at fault, but why hold the children responsible for that? If my boss overpays me, look, if I come to work every day, that's not my fault. There's no proof here that there was collusion between the two or any of that. And also, we all know Mississippi pays the least in one of the lowest amounts of minimum wage in the nation. I actually believe their minimum wage is like closer to $7 or $6 something. So here, the issue really, I feel like this is where social media should come in and say, Burger King, look into this. This situation got you so much good publicity. If these people are making $7.25 an hour, $8 an hour, maybe that's what you should have been paying people already. But if you're going to hold anyone responsible, I can understand holding mom responsible, but firing the young men doesn't seem fair or just in this situation. And even if you're going to do that, it's imperative that you do not ruin their work records by, for example, listing them as ineligible for rehire, where they'll have difficulty getting hired elsewhere simply because of their boss.
Right. Attorney Shatan, is there a grounds here for wrongful termination or age discrimination or anything that these young men can do? Because it just touched my heart when I watched their interview where they said, listen, we could have been out in the streets doing a whole lot of other bad stuff. Instead, we decided to go make minimum wage and do something productive and positive so that we could have school supplies and clothes to go back to school. I remember when I was coming through, you know, the Burger King jobs, everybody who worked at Burger King when you were in high school, they had money. They didn't have to ask their parents for their senior picture money. They didn't have to ask their parents on trip money or you know, anything that any clubs that they were on. They always had their money. Is there any remedy that these young men can explore as it relates to the wrongful acts of Burger King?
I mean, considering how much press this story's gotten, there's going to be a lawyer that's going to try to help them find some cognizable claims that they'll go after Burger King for. I mean, this case is an example, unfortunately, that you can't always have things your way. And that's the message as Simone was trying to show, that they needed to show the mom. Because according to what has been reported, this Burger King had a practice of paying adults different than they paid minors. And she decided to pay them the same rate that they paid the adults. And that's where they found fault with her. And that's why they fired her. Now, that inequity, as you mentioned, the instinct for us who live in America is that that is wrong and that is a discrimination claim. As it relates to federal employment law and age discrimination claims, it's actually not, because those in the protected class who would be able to assert an age discrimination claim are those who are over 40. These are teens, young adults, and so they're not covered by those laws. And the real question is whether there is some state law basis they might be able to assert to say, you know, same job, same pay. That would be one argument. The other thing that you might argue is the one.
Right, because why would a 16-year-old have to take less money when he's cleaning the same toilets in the same grease fryer as a freaking 21-year-old?
Exactly.
Preach, Judge.
And the other thing to what Attorney Redwine was mentioning is also the notion, even though employment's at will and employers can terminate people for good reasons, bad reasons, or no reason at all, as long as it's not unlawful, they should argue, right, that their termination was actually a pretext for something else. What that something else is isn't entirely sure. However, since it wasn't their misconduct that was at issue, their lawyer should be able to argue that there was something else afoot. And even though they are not in the protected class, from the pictures I saw, they were all Black. And so maybe they were discriminated against because of race discrimination, and that would be actionable.
All right. So let me ask both of you this, and this is just public opinion. Now, what we do understand is that Nick Cannon, when he saw the story, elevated the story. He posted about it, and it was from him posting that, you know, obviously it hit the radar of Burger King's communications department, which led to the investigation. Now that this family is out of work and they have a GoFundMe, is it wrong for me to think that maybe Nick Cannon should offer some type of support or, get people to give to the GoFundMe? Because now we have an entire family plus 3 friends that are out of work. And that really makes me sad. What say you, my legal beagles?
Responsibility, not necessarily. If he wants to publish a GoFundMe, I think that's fair. But my family owns a Chick-fil-A, okay? And I'm gonna say this right now. Come on over to a Chick-fil-A. Find y'all a Chick-fil-A in your neighborhood, because Chick-fil-A don't play that stuff. First of all, they love hardworking workers. Second of all, this is my opportunity. Let me let y'all know. Y'all know a Chick-fil-A only costs $10,000, whether it's in Mississippi
Wow.
or Los Angeles, literally, because they want the best of the best. The hardest part of owning a Chick-fil-A is just getting the approval. But once you're approved, all you need is $10,000, and then you have to be able to show that your savings, or you have friends or family that are willing to give you $30K if you need it to pay your living expenses as you're growing your store. That's my point.
Wow.
But I think us taking our business elsewhere is my point. I think that would be monumental. But also, I do agree, sharing a GoFundMe is fine, but I don't think he should personally feel responsible.
Not feel responsible, but feel kind of like, the light that he shined upon that kind of, people lost their jobs. I'm not saying feel responsible, but help them out. Like, give some money, lead the way. You led the way in this feel-good story. Just lead the way, because they've only been able to raise $10,000. I can't imagine that a mother at that age who was the manager of a fast food restaurant, given this economy, can find another job soon. And
This
especially
pisses
for
me
these
off. Yeah, knowing that particularly pisses me off, because I covered a story this week about an Arizona couple who baked their child on a boat, while their 4-month-old child on a boat, while they jumped in the water, splashed away, and had a good old time in 120-degree weather. And that family got over $50,000 for their GoFundMe, and they caused the death of their 4-month-old child
Oh my
while they
gosh,
were
that's-
frolicking in the water. Look it up, y'all. Google that story. It's from Arizona.
All right. This is sad, and I hopefully everyone, maybe if y'all keep following us, we can post the GoFundMe here, and maybe we can all give to this family because they need it. All right. As we rotate into our last story of the evening, Shannon Sharpe, welcome to the court of public opinion. You thought you got away, but not this time, sir. Brett Favre says, I'm not giving up. He's gone back to the courts and he wants his reinstatement of the defamation lawsuit reinstated because of Shannon Sharpe running his mouth. All right. He's quoting figurative language in public conversation. Attorney Shatan Turner, can you break down to us what is actually going on? Or Attorney Simone Redwine, whoever has the most intel around this story, can someone share with me what this defamation lawsuit is all about?
This defamation suit is complicated, and it's actually not sexy, and nobody might not be interested if it wasn't because there were 2 football players involved. And part of the reason why it's being asserted is likely that Shannon Sharpe is sometimes clumsy with language. But anyway, what happened
And
was,
the English language, right?
right. There's a dispute about the welfare system in Mississippi, and
Mississippi again.
Brett Favre is involved in it. And so Sharpe made some comments about so Favre was hired to give speeches that he never gave, and to the tune of about $1 million. And the welfare system is underwater. And so Sharpe basically was like, how could you steal from the lowest of the low? And made some comments about that, suggesting that Favre was like the Antichrist, right? And Favre got all bent out of shape about it, and he sued, and he said it was defamation, and he lost, right? But he's trying to appeal because he thinks that these comments made him look bad. And so Sharpe's attorneys have had some interesting theories, like this wasn't defamation, it was something called rhetorical hyperbole, which say that 5 times fast and not trip up. And so basically what they're saying is that when you are on television or in the public light that you may say things that you don't really mean, that like hyperbole means sensational, right? Rhetorical means your mouth. So your mouth just runs and you say some stuff that you don't really mean and you shouldn't be held accountable. That's what Sharpe's argument is. And Favre's like, hey, this is me. I'm a man of integrity. I am not the Antichrist. I am not taking money from the lowest of the low. And somebody should help me repair my image because this is unfair.
Boy, fuck you.
Ooh.
I'm sorry. I'm so sick. No, I'm so sick of him. We need to just start at the basis of this.
Okay.
The level of privilege. He is in Brett Favre was paid $1 million to give speeches from a welfare-related nonprofit entity. I'm sorry. If any brown person receives $1 million to talk, I don't care if you were LeBron James himself. If LeBron James was given $1 million from a welfare organization to speak about anything, people would chide him. People would have ripped him apart from taking that from welfare recipients, right? Because otherwise,
remember, he never made the speeches. That's the other. Yes, he got the $1 million and he never made the speeches. That's why Sharpe was criticizing him.
Absolutely. So to say, so in that context, when Sharpe was saying you stole from these people, it's not just you stole from people who needed milk and eggs and cheese and whatever else. It's you didn't even do what you were committed to do. So shut the heck up, sir. Like, you are trifling. You are a thief. Whether a criminal court has determined it or not, we as humans can say you should have never took the $1 million in the first damn place.
Got it. Okay, so let's hold on.
Argument. Can I say one quick thing though,
sure.
Judge? I was going to say, for the sake of argument, right? The Favre matter is still outstanding. He is among other people who were caught up in this litigation. And so it's not been determined definitively that he is at fault. And so I think that Sharpe's language may have been irresponsible or premature. It may play out that way, and I don't disagree with you. I'm still waiting for my come up where I get money that I actually didn't earn. But everybody wants me to sit there and work hard. But I do think there's something to be said that when you have a platform, because Sharpe said this when he was on Fox, right? He made a sweeping statement about Favre's character, and now the question becomes, should he be held accountable for it?
Right, that's the figurative language. Okay, so let's dial this back to what people can understand. So if I hear you guys correctly, couldn't the experience that I've had recently be defamatory?
Yours, I would say so. I mean, whenever you are in a situation where someone makes public comments about your conduct, about your behavior, about what you've done that are untrue and that can go to your reputation, those can be defamatory. And the issue becomes, does this rise to a level where it's going to impact a person's ability to earn income, their reputation, etc.? And when it does, absolutely.
So
it is defamatory.
And to that point, there's defamation per se, which basically means it's super easy and you don't even have to really go through all the elements of proving it if it's something that's said about you in your professional capacity, right? Because the law views that as being more significant and potentially interfering with your livelihood. So it's not just saying that you're a bad person or Shatan's a bad person. It's saying I'm a bad lawyer, right? And
Right. Okay. So I'm liking this. Hold on. Now y'all got me perked up because I have been, on the other end of a lot of what I would listening to you guys would be defamatory language towards me that has in fact affected me because I am a professor at a university. So I'm like, oh, I'm listening to this. And now I'm like perking up because I'm like, okay, I didn't even know that I was just under the assumption that people can just go out here and say what they want to say. But if I hear you correctly, if they're out here slandering and defaming you or having defamatory comments about you that's affecting your employment and your ability to get other jobs or your ability to keep the jobs you have, there may be a case here. Am I hearing this correctly? Can someone break this down a little bit more for me?
You are. So if you're talking about defamation, there are two types. Oral is slander, written is libel, and it's premised on the basis that the statements made about the individual are false and they're not opinion based. They're actually false. And so the other cause of action that doesn't get as much attention, but it's relevant, is if you put someone in a false light. Now, this is something that's not available in all states, so people have to look to see if it's available in their state. But it's the notion that someone says something about you, even if it's true, the way that it's characterized puts you in a false light, and the consequences of that false light have caused you damages.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
This is really open. Go ahead, Attorney Redwine.
Yes, and I want to always encourage, if you believe that someone has defamed you, and you know this person either is, and more specifically, you know this person is an employee of a business and they said it within their business capacity, or if you know that this person is a homeowner, you want to go ahead and you want to hire an attorney to look into the matter, because many homeowners insurance policies have defamation coverage. What that means is that if you hire an attorney, your lawyer gets to bypass them in the same way that with Cassie and Diddy's settlement. She bypassed Diddy and went straight to the insurance adjuster, and you can get your millions from the claims adjuster.
Well, hold on. Let me hold on. Hold on, what? Attorney. Hold on. Bypass who?
You bypass the individual. See, that's the problem. When you're dealing with defamation and it's one-on-one, right? The other person is like, well, for example, Cardi B, Tasha K. Tasha K is like, no, I'm still back. I'm standing on business, whatever. If Tasha K, though, had a homeowner's policy that had defamation insurance coverage, then Cardi B could have just filed a claim. And the moment that the lawsuit was filed, right, it would have been turned over to the claim, and it would have been assigned a claims adjuster. In the same way that this accident I just had today, right, was turned over to is going to be turned over to a claims adjuster. Same thing. And so even if that person says, I didn't do nothing wrong, your lawyer gets to negotiate directly with the claims adjuster for insurance moolah. Not a dime other than their deductible comes out of their pocket.
I am enriched today. Gosh, I swear, this is why I built this platform, everybody. And it's so funny because as a person who built it, I'm learning. I'm actually learning. Everybody, please throw some red wine emojis in that chat. Throw some fire in that chat. And give me a little bit of my little fax machines in the chat if you're enjoying tonight's show and if you've learned something. Also, the likes aren't liking. Be sure to hit that like button. Also, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. And hit the share button, because I feel like if I find the right niche, we can really grow this show. For me, it's all about showcasing Black excellence. These two women right here are the exemplary of Black excellence, and hopefully what they're sharing with us can teach you a thing or two. All right, so this is a part of the show. It's a special part of the show when we have a call of action for you. Take a look. Raiders, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion, where your voice truly matters. I'm Al Reynolds, your host for this exciting new show that brings real-life legal dilemmas to the forefront. Now, have you ever been caught in a tricky legal situation and wondered what others might do? Now's your chance to find out. We're calling for you to submit your legal dilemmas, whether they're big or small. It could be a dispute with a neighbor, a contract gone wrong, or any other legal issue you're facing. So here's how it works. Record a video of yourself explaining your legal dilemma in 30 seconds or send us an email to dlreynolds@gmail.com. That's dlreynolds@gmail.com. Your story could be featured on our show where you'll get valuable insight and opinions from our legal beagles. So don't wait. Submit your legal dilemmas today and join us in the court of public opinion. Together, we'll explore the answers you're looking for. All right, that's right. We're going to create a section of this programming to offer you opinions and advice and help you out with any legal dilemmas that you might be battling with yourself. Be sure to send your 30-second video, 30 seconds or less, please, no long videos, or an email to dlreynolds@gmail.com. That's dlreynolds@gmail.com. All right, we're at that part of the show where we're going to go to some of the questions that you guys may have. Now, we are running long tonight, and we're going to try to get to many as we can. So, starting up first, Don Claus Byrne Jenkins says, so much respect for these Black attorneys and their accomplishments. You know what, Don, you are right on that. They have really broke it down for us tonight. All right, Don Claus Byrne Jenkins also said, was there a marshal on board? Obviously, Don, there wasn't a marshal on board. That's why they had to call it in, and that's why they were met with the FBI when the plane landed. All right, Billy Little, what's up, Billy Little? Thank you so much for your continued support. He said, I honestly think the flight attendant just doesn't like Black people. However, playing devil's advocate, is it possible she can say she was heavy-handed and the tap hurt? Legal Beagles, what are your thoughts?
That's the argument that you don't know my sensitivities. And when I said that I got hit, I meant it. And nobody can appreciate the pain except for me. That's actually the only real defense to this whole situation. And it's probably the one that the lawyer representing the flight attendant's going to make.
I'm going to overrule it. I don't like it. Tap nothing. Tap overruled. This judge doesn't want to hear that crap. Try working his spirit, sweetheart. If you work this spirit, you'll really see a heavy hand. Let's keep going. Don Claus Byrne Jenkins says, Attorney Redwine, would you take care of it on the flight or afterwards? Would you take care of it on the flight or afterwards?
Oh, it was the issue that Terrell was having. I think I would do after. My issue is I want to make sure I get safely to my destination.
Oh, right.
And then I'm ringing all of the bells because I want to get put off, especially if I'm there with my child. I want to make sure I get safely to my destination first.
Right, because you got to remember, Don, they have procedurally the right to take you and tape you to your seat if you are a security breach. They can detain you on the plane, and that could have been more humiliating. All right, Mr. Don has more questions.
The thing about that, though, is the message to his child and the other children is the heartbreaking part for me. Because he did nothing wrong. Peppa did nothing wrong. And so now the message to the little Black children is you can do everything right and you can still be harassed and abused by the authorities.
Yeah, that's horrible. You're right. All right, let's keep going. V. Thompson 64 says, will the passenger who refuses to get up in a scenario such as this get arrested? They
Probably
can.
Yes.
Yeah, they absolutely can. Sabrina Lee, thank you, Sabrina, so much for the super chat. Sabrina says, hi, ladies. Redwine, so happy you're okay. I hate to say it, but if you're super musty, I need you to clear. All right.
Thank you. I'm okay. I checked.
We'll take that super chat.
Black girl magic. Sabrina's
Simone, what? What is really going on in my court? Order in the court, please. All right, Rudy Huxtable.
I feel like a public defender today. I got up on the shit wrong.
Rudy Huxtable, y'all all know I love Rudy Huxtable. She used to work for me and my ex-wife back in the day. Can Alec sue? Oh, good question. What would he sue about? Can Alec Baldwin sue?
Alex should just let this go and thank little baby Jesus that he got this procedural victory.
Got it. All right. Blue says, what was the evidence? Not sure what Blue is talking about. Let's go to
Talking about Alec Baldwin. What evidence did they find that was ended up finding in his favor? It had to do with who was handling the guns. Since the whole case was about the handling of the guns and whether or not that was done properly. That's why they said his case was prejudiced.
Got it. All right. Melanie says, me too. This show is brilliant. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Melanie. Appreciate it. Bernice Johnson said, what if he puts it in a trust? I guess she's talking about the game. Will he still be responsible for property tax?
Oh, baby. If I was Priscilla's lawyer, you put it in a trust after this judgment and in the midst of me collecting, I'm beating the brakes off you because that's how I will prove this was a fraudulent transfer.
Absolutely.
That putting anything in a trust is prima facie is basically
fingerprints.
Prime example of you trying to hide it. And so
that's right. It's called fingerprints and fingerprints. All right. Jeremiah said, can WAC purchase the home for $1?
Only if he wants to be a co-conspirator in the fraudulent transfer. Like I said, purchase it for $1, and then you still are going to jail because
that's gonna still trigger.
You didn't pay the taxes.
Right. Okay.
It goes by what it's worth, not what you paid.
That's correct. Taxes is that's how it works. Shannon Farmer says, can she get a lien on his property?
Yes. Can and should. Oh, actually, this is super important. If she had already put the lien in place, he would not be able to properly transfer it to WAC. Because what happens is I own a title company, experiencetitleLLC.com. Use us in Texas, all over. You cannot get title insurance for any property unless you satisfy the lien first. So that's how we know this was a ghetto fraudulent transfer.
Yeah, and then this is how we also know that she has no proper legal representation. There's so many missteps here of things that she should have done and could have done over the course of these 8 years. That's why, Priscilla, you need to call us over here. You need to come on the Court of Public Opinion. All right. EDD said, what if the game never owned his publishing? I bet the record label owned the publishing, and when the game was eligible to receive his publishing, the label gave it to WAC 100.
Doesn't matter. You still get something, right? So he is, and I've looked this up before in the past. I believe it's BMI or one of those that he's assigned to that he gets, because when they're streaming, he gets paid something. So what happens is now they capture that money, they hold it in an account, and then this woman who's owed this money can then submit her court order or her judgment and seize those funds.
Now, this is my question, and I know this is off topic right now, and I know we're going long, but did she get his publishing of his record label, or did she get his direct publishing? That's another misstep, because if she got his direct publishing, wouldn't she have gotten paid something by now?
So I don't know that she got the publishing. I think she has the right to seize the funds there. In the same way that Cardi B got the right to seize Tasha K's YouTube funds.
Got it.
So
she needs to get her money.
Yeah.
All right. Billy Little said, did she have to send the payroll information to some sort of corporate who made the offer letter? Huh?
Burger King story is what that's shifting to.
Did she have to send the payroll information to some type of corporate who made the offer letter? Oh, good question. Good question.
So possibly, I mean, Burger Kings are franchised. And so this likely, unless this was a corporate store, which is unlikely, it probably was made at a really local level. But the question does become, what autonomy did the manager have to extend offers and determine wage rates, and whether the owner approved it, and again, suggesting that these terminations were pretext for something else.
All right. I also think what she should do, or whoever attorney representing them, they should look into within a 15 or 20 mile radius if there are other 16-year-olds and what their pay is as well. Because I'm pretty sure, because of their desperate need for employees, that you have to make it attractive for young people to come off the streets and to work at Burger King. So you have to give them more money than regular. All right, here we go. So let's go, Don. We're going to give other people to ask questions here. Don says, can you imagine the mess we have here? Local government fighting the state government, white versus black. You guys know what Don is talking about in this?
Oh, she's talking about Mississippi, just Mississippi
Okay.
in general. Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right, Vernon Johnson said, Al, what about your mental health? Yes, it was slander, and it broke my heart to see you go through that hostile work environment.
You didn't
All
say
right,
it. Bernice said it. Bernice said it.
right, Bernice, you said it. You guys are smarter than most. You said it, Bernice, not me. All right, Billy Little, last question. This proves that Al hasn't talked about them publicly or privately. I haven't, and it's intentional. All right, everybody. This is a part of the show where we render our verdicts. Let's do these very quickly. First up, Terrell Davis. United Airlines, are they guilty or not guilty of racial profiling? Attorney Redwine, what say you?
Guilty.
All right, Shatan, what say you?
Guilty.
All right, in the court of public opinion, Al, your judge, I find United Airlines guilty. I find that flight attendant guilty, and I find everybody sitting around here who witnessed it and didn't say anything guilty, guilty, guilty. And the FBI, you're guilty too for putting a black man in handcuffs for no reasons. All right, next up, Southwest Airline, are they guilty or not guilty for putting one of our hip-hop icons off the plane for no reason? Attorney Shatan Turner, guilty or not guilty?
Absolutely guilty. They took her money. She was entitled to that extra seat.
All right, what say you, Simone?
Guilty.
All right, I find Southwest Airlines guilty. Guilty as charged. I find that woman who I saw escort her off with her bad knee and left her wheelchair in the galley. Guilty. Everybody over there at Southwest is guilty. Guilty of treating our hip hop icon badly and poorly at the same time. All right, next up, Alec Baldwin. Is Alec Baldwin guilty or not guilty of killing that woman? Attorney Redwine.
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Ooh. All right, Attorney Shatan Turner. Is he guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
All right, in the court of public opinion, I'm going to say he's guilty. The court of public opinion says guilty because he shot the gun. That woman died. Everything else is semantics. He should be found guilty of something, some type of negligence, some type of something. That family is without their loved one, and I don't like it. He's too long in the tooth and been doing this way too long to not check that gun before he shoots it. All right, next up, the game. Is the game guilty or not guilty of paying Priscilla Rainey her money? Attorney Shatan Redwine, Attorney Shatan, is he guilty or not guilty?
Oh, absolutely guilty. He's trifling. He needs to give up.
Attorney Redwine.
He is very guilty. You can just look at the tattoo on his face and know he's guilty.
All right, in the court of public opinion, Al being the judge, I'm going to find the game guilty. I'm also going to find Priscilla Rainey. You are guilty for hiring bad attorneys. Get your money. It doesn't take 9 years to get money from a rich rapper. Come on now. Do better. Call us over here at the court of public opinion. We'll get you back on track. Next up, is the Burger King mama, Miss Dixon, is she guilty of loving her kids and his friends? Attorney Redwine, what say you?
She's guilty of loving him. It's okay, Pumpkin. You try to do the right thing. Everyone deserves a living wage.
All right, Attorney Shatan, is she guilty or not guilty?
She's guilty of loving too much and paying too much.
All right, in the court of public opinion, I'm going to go against my two legal beagles, and I find Miss Dixon not guilty. Nepotism is okay. Helping black young kids to get off the street is okay. Burger King, you are guilty. You're guilty as charged of not allowing her to feed her family, not allowing her to hire her son, and not allowing her son's friends to have a job for the summer so that they could have school clothes and school supplies. Guilty, Burger King, guilty. Last up, is Shannon Sharpe guilty or not guilty of defamation of character? Attorney Simone Redwine, what say you?
Innocent. He is innocent. That man did that shit.
Not guilty. All right, Attorney Shatan Turner.
Not guilty.
Oh, not guilty. All right, in the court of
Oracle
public.
hyperbole.
All right, in the court of public opinion, Al Reynolds as the judge. We're going to find Shannon Sharpe not guilty, and we're going to find Brett Favre guilty of being a crybaby. You are a crybaby. If you took the poor people's money, then you need to give it back. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Okay, everyone, that brings the conclusion of the show. Thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. And we'll see you Friday. We have a special edition for you with Ladies Night. Everyone, have a good night, and thank you for participating.